a speech from none other than Miss Rushnan Murtaza. She is the Deputy Representative for UNICEF, and she's representing the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, Mr. Matthias. Schmale. Please let's appreciate her as she steps to the podium. We can do better than that, please. We can do better than that. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Let me just once again introduce myself. I'm Rushnan Murtaza. I am the Deputy Representative of UNICEF, and in this occasion representing the Resident Coordinator of the UN. Standing on the existing protocol, but I just want to say at the beginning that it is an absolute pleasure to be here, to hear you, the CEO, and the entrepreneurial thinking that we are harnessing in Nigeria. So absolutely my standing ovation for you. With all present here, I would have wished more girls and women here, but it's okay, it's a process. But again, all the entrepreneurs, distinguished guests, it has been a pleasure for me to be here and represent the Resident Coordinator. And as I mentioned, I'm really inspired by the spirit of collaboration that you are bringing different leaders, global leaders, national leaders, experts in public, private, and non-profit organizations together in education, business, finance, and media. It's truly impressive. The theme of your this gathering is on entrepreneurial education, which is very timely. And as you mentioned very eloquently, that entrepreneurial skills is not about just doing your own business. It's a mindset that you are looking at. And to build that mindset, what is very much needed is the investments in education. So that's the focus that as a UN we are looking at. You also mentioned about anchoring around the sustainable development goals. Though we blame it on COVID, but even before COVID, we were dramatically off track to achieve the sustainable development goals. And then COVID hit. Millions of children are already out of school, that we know, and millions are in school but not learning. And Nigeria is no exception. So Nigeria is faced with multiple challenges as well. The first biggest challenge is the out of school children. And Nigeria has the 15% share globally of the out of school children. We all know that nearly 10 million children of the primary age are out of school, with another 8 million in junior secondary level. So we are already challenged on that, even to bring them to school. And then even when we bring them to school, they are not safe. And that's why you are having so many discussions about safe schools. One is how they access the school, and the second is once they are in the school, they are not safe. And we know that last year alone, there were 20 attacks in schools, and nearly 11,000 schools were closed. So you can imagine the loss. Then with COVID, 50 million children in Nigeria actually missed education. And then we come to the learning, which is very connected to entrepreneurial skills, that we have to have the foundation. We also know that Nigeria is actually challenged with the learning outcomes. Over 70% of children at the primary level cannot read with understanding or solve simple math problems. And these are foundation for the entrepreneurial skills that we are talking about today. On top of it, there is no investment on transferable skills. What you really mentioned on employability. Yeah? Not necessarily everybody will go on to employment. They will have different avenues. But is the education system preparing them for employability? Do they have those foundational skills? And we know that 63% of the youth in Nigeria are unemployed. Yet half of employers that we work with are constantly saying that they are not getting suitable candidates. So how is that possible? Then where are we failing? So the all the COVID, the school safety has made the situation actually very difficult, but every challenge also has an opportunity. And I think to witness this challenge and how we turn it into an opportunity is the biggest challenge for partners like UN and the government, private sector, and the NGOs. So we really have to think of a different model. It's not going to work the way the traditional model has worked. And one of the areas that the model need to work is on digital connectivity, which is very now has become the foundation for whatever we do. When we did a survey with young people, 69% of the young people said that they don't have any skills other than literacy on problem solving, entrepreneurial skills, and 9 in 10 young girls felt that they really need digital skills. And here we are talking about, as I said, of out of school children, children not going to school, and girls particularly are even negatively affected more than boys. The boys are also have challenges, but girls have more, and we know that the reason for that. So we have to listen to these young people. But then when we are looking at the digital opportunities, we also know that 82% of children do not have access to internet. And only 1 in 4 schools have computers, while 2 in 3 households have either radio or television. So then what can we think of? How can we think of differently? So there are a few things on the digital transformation. That's where I will focus on this discussion because it is key to your entrepreneurial skills. Is to move forward, first to look at whether they have access. So one has to invest more on private sector partnerships because government alone cannot do it. And how do we get young people to access the expanded connectivity, internet access, bridge the digital divide? So what the UN is doing, they are really working with non-traditional partners of UN, with the mobile phone companies to provide zero rating solutions, to provide access to online learning tools. We are also looking at more partners to see that whether the students can have these devices even provided by them and preload the different content into those devices. The second is, do we have enough materials? I think we have to move out of the concept of school-based learning. That is no more the way to go. People has to learn. When we say it's lifelong learning, it cannot be the traditional way of looking at a boundary learning. So if a digital platform is the way to go, and for that, UN and UNICEF with the federal ministry is working on content that can be put on digital platforms which can be accessed offline and online. So when we have still not sorted out the online access because of internet, we are also trying to look at how offline young people can learn wherever they are. And we are calling this, the government is calling this as learning passport. It's a passport to learning, so you can learn anywhere, like the way the passport takes you anywhere. And there is a strong partnership with Microsoft and the government and UNICEF is in this. The third most important part for entrepreneurial learning, for digital learning is partnership. And there's a lot more investments that are happening. We are working with the IHS towers, who provides internet services, provide the towers for the telecoms, and to really look at where are they positioning these towers and whether we can give them the information which are the poorest communities. Because you are wanting, as part of the SDGs, inclusive development, leaving no one behind, and equity. So we are working on that, and we are working with a lot more private sector partners towards a goal of 20 million young people by 2030, to provide them digital skills, to provide them workforce readiness, and entrepreneurial skills is one of them, and young people's engagement. And we are calling it as Generation Unlimited, where we are crowding private sector, it's not UNICEF or the UN putting the money, but bringing partners together towards a common vision. So UN commits to co-create and co-lead initiatives to gather the resources, ideas, what I saw here, get your ideas there, and technologies Nigerian children and young people need to support their futures. We look forward to continued collaboration with the government, the private sector, development partners, communities, teachers, young people, and all stakeholders to expand digital and multiple pathways to learning and skills acquisition for children and youth in Nigeria. Thank you very much for having me.